We'll get rid of that in a little bit. We got a bunch of guests coming up today. What you're seeing right now is we're testing if you are watching. Let's see who we got on the agenda. So the setup here is pretty incredible. There's probably, it used to be called Radio Row. Now it's Media Row. And there's podcasts, there's TV, there's radio. So many setups here at Radio Row. Ignore the Ronnie and T-Crez logo. Oh, now it's the Nick Wise Show logo. Old logo, but we got a logo. Pat McAfee, right to our right. He's got the best setup. It is absolutely incredible, second to none. He's definitely the king of, I don't want to say the king of media because I still think that's Howard Stern, but next to Howard Stern in the sports world, king of media is definitely Pat McAfee. But one thing about New Orleans, the food here has been absolutely incredible. We're seeing people everywhere. The town is definitely starting to get busier today. We were at the casino last night. I learned T-Crez loves the casino. Couldn't get him out of there. I'm the younger one, but I left. I went to bed early. By early, midnight Central Time. So it wasn't like super early. But couldn't get the guy away from the poker table. So as we're sitting at the poker table, guess who walks by? Jason Kelce. I did stalk him and get a video because I had to. We're here at the media. Got a video of Jason Kelce. He was there with his wife. And while he walked by us, true story, Taylor Swift was playing. I thought that was, I know most people don't care. They're like, oh, I'm sick of the Kelces. I'm sick of Taylor Swift. So am I. But it was still a cool moment when, I wouldn't tell Jason Kelce to his face that I'm sick of him or his brother and that I want his brother to lose. I do wonder who he's rooting for. You got to root for your brother, right? Like, I know that everybody on the Eagles is probably family to him. I'm sure he's close with those guys still. I know that he still hangs out in the locker room. His wife is an Eagles fan. And I believe she's rooting for the Eagles, not her brother-in-law. I'd imagine Jason's rooting for his brother. You would think, right? Or do you not want your brother to get, I'm very competitive with my brother. If my brother already had his Super Bowl ring, I don't know how much more, I don't know how many more rings I want him to have than me. And Travis obviously already has more than Jason. So if you're watching this right now, it's Nick Wise live at Radio Row. And we're really just doing a test right now. So you're kind of getting a behind-the-scenes look. Let me see if I can move the camera around here so you can kind of get a nice look of. It's hard to really put it into words from where I'm stationed, but let's see if I can get you the. If you go over here, I can't get it, but you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it there. The Pat McAfee's under that black awning there. His setup is a little bit better than mine. Yeah, I'm live right now, just kind of entertaining. No, you're good. I'm not on the air. I'm just on YouTube. We're testing the audio. I always go that way. So, actually, Rock, if you want to grab the headset there. We got a couple people watching us live. Let's see. Flip the camera. Yeah. I can even flip the camera. Oh, yeah. We're getting the full effect.
Beautiful.
Let me see.
Beautiful.
Let's get that.
There we go. Someone would sit right about here. Perfect.
Hey, how was the media party last night?
It was awesome. It was awesome. See, if you give me free beer, food, entertainment, party, I'm in. I'm not that much of a gambler. And so I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to kind of check it out. And it was so much bigger. I didn't even know if you kept on walking back, and then a big place where they had a big party going on. And then they had like a football field that was there, and they had different bands and New Orleans theme. And it was tremendous. I just couldn't believe how many people. They still kept walking through.
Did you go through the area where they like handed you almost like a grocery bag?
No.
And, okay, so you didn't go to the part where it said like NFL Museum or whatever? You didn't go through there?
That's the only thing I did not go in.
Okay, so.
What was in there?
All right, so you go in there and you walk in and it's like set up like a convenience store. And so it's set up like a convenience store. They give you a bag and they're like, just grab whatever you want, stuff the bag up. Now, I will say this. Don't be upset because it was mostly like, was mostly like ingredients to cook with. There was a bunch of stuff I didn't want to carry back on the plane.
Okay.
I
You're
felt
making me feel better.
yeah. Like I had the bag in my hand and I walked around. I'm like, what am I doing? And I just set my bag down and I went back to the free food that was outside. We had a dinner reservation last night. We ended up canceling it because all the food at the media thing was so incredible. All the top-notch restaurants in New Orleans.
It was different, right? You get a wide variety. That's what I like. My wife loves that. She's not big for sitting down with the big entree. She loves to be able to pick here and there. She would have loved that. And you being a seafood guy, man, and you must have been just loving it. Were you not?
Oh, I loved it. I had so I told you to try it, even if you don't like oysters. That oyster toast was absolutely incredible. You wouldn't even have known there was an oyster on it. The toast itself was just so good. It was so incredible. That was good. There was shrimp and grits, which were good. We live in Florida. Why don't we have seafood this good? And I got to be honest. I'm kind of disappointed in the food in Tampa Bay area. St. Pete has a lot of cool looking restaurants, but they're all made for Instagram, right? Can we get something that's made for taste? I can tell you about these New Orleans places. None of them are made for Instagram. They all look like dumps.
You're right.
But then you walk in and you're like, whoa, this is actually really nice inside. And the food's incredible. The flavors are incredible. The rice, they're known for red beans and rice, which was incredible.
That
so
was
I
really
tried all that yesterday. But yeah, everything that I had at the media party was so good. And now that we're on Media Row here, they don't have that good food. And they have yogurts and danishes and stuff like that. And but they don't have anything like they had last night at that media party. But the NFL did a great job with that. They treated us very well. And I definitely enjoyed myself yesterday. But yeah, we left. We ended up, I was looking all over for you. We got a hold of you by text.
You were good. Thank you.
I didn't want to leave without you.
You are such a good
we were
leader for your men. You want to check. Yeah. It's like, look at that. He's checking on me. Well, I figured, because T-Crest was like, he goes, you seen Nick? I said, no, he's sampling all stations.
I sampled everything.
But T-Crest was like, I could tell. He's like, oh, this is a little crowded for me, and I don't think I'm going to stay here long. I'm like, okay, everybody's different. Like, I like a big party. That's not T-Crest's thing, but I know how much he loves gambling. And then he's like, have you seen it? I said, I'll go around and look for him. And then I was out there and I saw different things I didn't. And I'm like, all right, I hope those guys know enough just to go. And then I'm like, look at this. Nick is checking in with me to see if I wanted to go. And I said, have fun. You said, all right, we'll see you in the morning. You are a good man.
Of course, man. We came in as a team, and I got to check in with everybody before we leave. So we were at the entrance, and I was like, where's Rock? And he's like, I think Rock's looking for you. And I'm like, all right, you stay here. I'm going to go do a lap and find Rock. And then I met this guy who works for NFL Films, who is from Brandon and a listener of the station. His name was Rich. He's doing a 17th Super Bowl broadcast, which he does all the Bucs games too.
They're the best, but they are the NFL Films. They are the standard.
Yeah,
they always have been.
So he was a listener of the station, which I thought was really cool. So
WDAE.
Yeah. So then I get caught up listening, talking to him. But I'm trying to find you so I can get out of there.
Get going.
So yeah, here's my thing: is I'm not a huge crowd person either. I could have stayed there a little bit longer. I was tired. I wanted to go back to the room.
Gotcha.
We ended up going to the casino for a minute. I think I lost like $30, but yeah, T-Crez was doing the poker thing, and that's when we ran into Jason Kelsey. I would say that the casino is where everybody's going to be hanging out this week. Everybody will be at the casino, because this is it feels, I haven't really gone off the strip really from the convention center to the hotel.
Right.
I don't know if the city's bigger beyond that or if that's really the main strip, but from my strip, it's busy like New York City,
right?
In a sense where it's, nonstop traffic, buildings. It has a New York, I lived in New York for a couple of years. It kind of, obviously New York is much bigger. I don't think it's like that everywhere in New Orleans, but these couple streets that I've gone on, it's a very busy vibe. And, but the one go-to spot I think is going to be the casino for everybody because it's not that big.
Was it as crowded as Seminole Hard Rock in Tampa?
Not even close. Not even close. They have, what they do have though is, and I hope we get it one day in Tampa, they had a sports book. So I hung out in the sports book while T-Craz was playing some poker, and I was just watching the every TV. I mean, it was just incredible. Obviously, there weren't a lot of games on last night, so they were replaying the Penn State Notre Dame game, but it was the sports book, man. That's what I want in Tampa. That Hard Rock's never going to get us. But, I want it so bad.
Now, it's interesting you're bringing this up because when it was legal last year here in Florida, they had a big red carpet. And I went. They flew in. Of course, Hulk Hogan is from here. Tino Martinez is from here. But they flew in a who's who of sports celebrities. And it was all right. Oh, it's finally legal in Florida. And you can bet and all this. And then they had the chief. The Seminole tribe was there and all this. And they did a big thing and big press. And it was like, well, what about a sports book? And they were saying that their research found that so many young people don't want to actually go to a sports book. They actually just want to bet on their phone, and there really isn't a need. So then when I went to Vegas last year for the Super Bowl and on Ready to Run, I walked into a couple of the sports books, but again, it was during the week, and there were not a lot of guys that were in there. And I'm like, okay, so is a sports book dead? But then I had somebody during the Final Four go to Vegas, and they loved it. And they said the sports books in Vegas, where you can sit down and got all those TVs, was still pretty big. So, and you're a younger guy, you think that not every young kid just wants to bet quick on their phone, or they actually would go and sit down. What do you think? See what I'm saying?
Look, I don't know. People would go. It would be the people that are at the casino. I'm not sure if anybody goes outside of their way to necessarily.
It used to be. That's there.
No one's going to go out of their way to like, oh, hey, we're going to the sports book today. But the people that are at the casino will go hang out there. They will go place bets. I was told that they don't want people like loitering.
That could be probably.
And that's probably gonna, that would probably be an issue, is that people would loiter. But I don't know. It'd be a cool place to hang out. I think it'd be a great place for us to be able to do shows live from. Would be so fun. It would just be cool to have that space. But yeah, you're right. They're all about their app, and young people do want. It is convenient to just be able to bet on your phone and live bet. Don't get me wrong, but there's still something about being in the sports book, walking up to that window, having the ticket in your hand. That is still fun and something to experience. And I don't know. There's something about a sports book that I just love. I've tried to replicate. I just moved, but at my old house, I tried to replicate, a sports book. Now, obviously, much less screens. I only have 3 screens,
but that's good.
But I call it the Nick Wise Sports Book, and it's a sports book to me is heaven. And whenever I go to Vegas, we went there a couple years ago for the iHeartRadio Music Festival. Which is a great show. And I probably shouldn't say this because we're an iHeartRadio station. I just stayed in the book the whole time. I couldn't leave. I left to go to the show for a little bit. And then I'm sitting there at the show, and I'm like, all right, it's time to go back to the sports book. And, we had we had a client that, took care of us in the sports book. And the thing with the sports book, though, especially in Vegas, is I feel like you have to pay to sit down at all of those seats. And
maybe. I don't know. I just looked quickly. And
I think
it was really weird.
The one that I went to was the Wynn. The Wynn was absolutely incredible.
That is a big.
The Wynn's got the best bed I've ever slept on. But the sports book at the Wynn is awesome. And I don't know. There's a sports book vibe, Rock, that I just really, really like, and I wish that
Hard Rock would do it.
I wish the Hard Rock would do it, but it's never going to happen.
They don't want you sitting there. You're not making as much money. I think they want you, because what blew me away is in Vegas last year, I would go into these hotels, or I'd have some friends and meet them here, and I'm like, I would go in a door and I'll be like, all right, where is this the front lobby? Yeah, the desk is right here. Where there's not one couch, one chair, anything. Boom, you check in. They don't want you to sit down because the games are right. These are hotel casino, and the blackjack and the roulette and the craps table and everything. It's right there. So there's no place to sit down. My brother-in-law works in the NFL, and I was meeting my sister-in-law, and she said, I'll meet you in the lobby. And it was delayed, and I had to just stand there. Like that's weird for a hotel.
Yeah.
But they don't want you sitting. They want you, come on, go spend your money.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, no, so the iHeartRadio Music Festival, when I went to Vegas, it used to be at T-Mobile Arena, or I'm sorry, it used to be at MGM.
Got you.
And MGM was great because they would let you leave the venue. You could actually leave the venue and then go back, where you can't do that at sporting events. Now it's over at T-Mobile Arena. And once you're in, you're in. And so when it was over at MGM, I'd go see a couple acts. There's like 25 acts on stage. So you're not going to like every single one of them. There's a bunch of different genres. Right. They have the ones for you, and then they have ones that aren't for you. Right. So I would go watch who I want to see, and then I'd go to the casino and I'd be like, oh, coming up is, whoever. Let me get back in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'd go back in there, and then you could leave. But now once you're in, you're in. So yeah, Vegas, look, I think my generation's probably the last that, does mess with. Vegas is always going to be packed, but I think I'm probably going to be the last generation where, we will go into the casino. We will sit. But yeah, you're right. Everybody, there's an app for everything nowadays. When I was growing up, you wanted to find girls, you went to the club. You wanted to hear music, you went to the club. You wanted to bet on sports, you went to the sports book. Well, now all of those things are just on your phone. So
it's changed.
It really has changed. I mean, look at where we're at right now. We're on what used to be called Radio Row. Now it's Media Row. There's radio behind you. On your camera behind you. I got the camera on you now. Is the iHeartRadio NFL Network podcast.
Perfect backdrop for you.
Perfect backdrop.
Perfect.
Company man.
Before I forget, I want to remind you today. So if I forget, I was listening to you yesterday, and you were talking about you do want to see the halftime show press conference.
Yes.
That is always every sports person likes to see the entertainment. Just like the entertainers that they want will come around, they always like to be the sports person. It's the most heavily watched, attended press conference. Get there early. Don't go up. Whatever time. I think that's tomorrow. It's usually on Thursday, Nick. I'll have to see. I'll let you know. But I think it's on Thursday.
It is on Thursday. I already checked in.
Go like a half hour. Seriously, because what they'll do is they close the doors. So like I said, my brother-in-law was with the NFL. He had his daughter who goes to the University of Michigan. She was here. She was here last year. And he works for the NFL. He's got and it's like, no. It's closed. Too many people. It's closed. They pack it in standing room only. So make sure you go early. Don't wait until like 15 minutes before and think you're going to go walk in. So that's my tip. But that's always a big one.
You just deterred me from wanting to go because now that you said there were so many people.
No, but it's cool. You sit down. You get a seat.
Okay.
It's a big theater. Big theater.
Well, I know you went to opening night, and I regretted not going, which used to be on a Tuesday.
I actually didn't go, and you know what? Because I got here Tuesday morning.
You know what? Okay, so it wasn't you.
Euro, it's okay. It's a dog and pony show, man.
Yeah, no. Okay, it wasn't you. I had breakfast with. I've had so many conversations. I'm trying to remember who I've had them with. It was the guy from that I deal with at Fox Sports Radio.
Oh,
he and I had breakfast. He was telling me about it. He said he was on the first bus there, and they waited an hour just to get in the door. And I'm like, okay, maybe I don't regret going. And then like. Unless you're Jameis Winston, you're not going to be able to get close. I feel like you can't get close enough. There's just too many people. Even last night, there was a lot of people, but we got there early enough to where I could try all the food. And then, and I feel like I don't feel like I missed anything yesterday. I really just wanted to go to bed, but T-Crez just wanted to play poker. And finally, I left him. He's like,
he sleeps in.
Well, that's why I said he's up now, but that's what I said to him. I was like, look, man, I'm dying. I gotta go. He's like, oh, I'll go. And I'm like, don't worry about it. You're fine. You gotta
pace yourself.
Yeah. So I was like, you do your thing. I'm gonna go back to the room. I needed to check in to make sure everything was good with today's, the station. I hadn't checked in on it.
No, you're doing good. You're doing good. There was something else that you said that I thought of last night when I was walking back. My wife always says, why do you remember stuff that why don't you remember the stuff that I want to tell you? You were yesterday and you were on the air and you were saying that the French Quarter and Bourbon Street reminded you of Ybor City times whatever. but dirtier. And I was like, that is exactly it.
It is.
I thought the same thing when I've been walking. What Nick Wise said, he is right.
It's exactly that. All right, Rock, I'm going to take this call because they're teaching me how to do this. No, I want you to stay live and entertain people. All right, camera's on you. Do your thing.
For all our sport, what audience?
We're on YouTube. We're on all the DAE Twitter, DAE YouTube, and so take it away, and then I'll come join you.
Sounds great. All right, so here's what's happening today, guys. Today on Wednesday, it starts to pick up here a little bit more. You're going to see more big names, some Hall of Famers that will be walking around. How it works is you're always like, okay, why are these guys coming to Media Row? And what it also is it's some current players that aren't playing in the game. Businesses, they have products. They want to have these players pimp their products, so they will take care of them. They will pay the player. They will take care of all their accommodations. And in turn, that player or that celebrity goes around to Radio Row. And they will have it all set up. Okay, I'm going to go to Chicago next. I'm going to go to the Players Tribune. I'm going to go on McAfee. I'm going to go on Pro Football Talk with Sims and Florio. I'm going to hit San Francisco. I'm going to hit Tampa, WDAE. That way now there are so many more podcasters, so many more digital networks besides radio. So what happens is you got much more of an audience when they would come around and like, okay, here's Justin Fields, for example. He was here last year. I think I saw him here yesterday. All right, here's Justin Fields. He's hitting the Chicago radio station. Or I remember years ago, David Spade was walking around with Chris Rock. They had a movie on, and they would just go, okay, I'll go to the Denver radio station here. But here now, like I said, you're hitting a lot of different platforms, a lot of different people, a lot of different ages. Nickelodeon has their own booth over there. There's a Threads booth, a TikTok booth, just a lot of different platforms. So in that regard, it's a little bit different. As far as the teams are practicing. There is a bus if you want to go out and watch the team practice. You're pretty far away. And then, everybody thinks that media day or the night or however they call it, like that big dog and pony show that first night, everybody thinks that's the only time there's going to be players or coaches answering questions for media. Not the case. They do it every day, but they do it at a specific time. So if you're here covering the Super Bowl and you want to get interviews, content, you got to make a decision. Do I get on the bus, wait, drive out to where they're practicing, wait for their press conferences, wait, and then come back on the bus? You're losing like 3 hours of time. So that's the big thing is like there's so many times I said one of these years I actually want to go to each team's practice. But when you do that, you're losing about 3 hours of time. Like bus, wait, facility, parking lot, wait, far away, wait, press conference. You can't just get in your car and go. You got to wait for everybody. So then by the time you get back to Radio Row, you've lost like 3 hours of your day. So it's so funny. You think, oh, you covered the Super Bowl. How are they looking? Well, I actually didn't even get out to practice. It's different when your team is in, like when the Buccaneers were in it and it was out in San Diego. And the Bucs back in that day with Sapp and all the Hall of Famers, they were staying in La Jolla. Oh, my God, you should see this. You should see the hotel that they were at. So then you want to go out and watch the teams because I kind of want to get a feel. And you might be able to get a question into Kelce or Mahomes or Jalen Hurts. But, again, it's a big part of your day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did. So I did the practice thing. I'm back, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, we're live. If you look at it, we're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitter. We're working on getting it to Facebook.
You do it all.
We've got 81 people watching right now.
Nice.
Which is very cool. It says Nick Wise and Rock Riley live from New Orleans. This is fun.
Love it.
So you talk about practice. I did the practice thing for the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Okay.
And
yes, tell us your story.
Well, it was okay. So the Michigan practice, and I'm not saying this because I'm biased.
No, go ahead. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Well, the Michigan practice was fantastic. They gave us so much access. They let us see everything. The Alabama practice. So they were really only supposed to give the media 15 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Michigan let us hang out on the sidelines the entire practice, video, pictures.
Awesome.
We could basically do whatever we wanted.
That's from their head coach.
So
That's why.
I get to Alabama's practice, and they literally followed the rule. Media got literally 15 minutes. Okay, Rock Riley, real quick. Mina Kimes is over to your right. Oh, she just stopped. She was about to be in our shot.
She's gonna be walking by.
She's gonna be walking by you in one sec.
She is Miss ESPN.
She is.
They love her.
She's great.
They love her.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn the camera on you, Rock. We'll get see if we can get Mina Kimes walking by you. Here she comes, and bam! Oh, we're on a delay, so I'll see it coming up moments. I guess.
Very good.
I think
very
we're on a
good.
delay.
Yeah, I think of all the women.
But anyways, back to she's up at the top.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm at practice. Alabama, they really allotted us no time. It was like the second the 15 minutes were up, they're like, all right, media, out of here. The Alabama practice was a lot more serious.
I would believe that.
And Michigan's was more laid back and fun. You know what surprised me? I haven't gone to the NFL practices. The size of the speakers that they bring out to practice were insane, and they must travel with these. The speakers were insane. They were so big and so loud. And Michigan just blasted music the whole time, and they run through drills where Alabama was running through drills the same, but like there wasn't really loud music playing. Media wasn't really allowed to see anything. And I thought, afterwards, I'm like, oh, Alabama's going to kick Michigan's ass. Like it was just much more serious. And then that's not how it played out at all.
Oh, see? But you know what? It's set. The tone is set. So I think Alabama from the Saban, so much Alabama. Oh, my God. All these little schools. There's a guy that shoots video for the ReliaQuest Bowl. He used to be at Channel 10. And he has a list that he puts out. I can even get you on the list. If you ever, he does lightning stuff. He does Rays. He does a lot of different stuff in Tampa Bay. So he was contracted by the ReliaQuest Bowl. When he had the list and he was telling me came out, for media outlets, Alabama, it was like 275. They've got all these tiny little radio stations, newspapers, like, oh my God. Now Michigan had some, but the difference was unbelievable. Then I covered the press conference there, and it was like there was so many Alabama people in media that
it's much closer. It's much closer, right? Michigan is far away. Michigan's coming off the national championship.
But the whole state lives for like Bama.
Correct.
They don't have pro.
Exactly. That's all they have. But I was actually surprised by the Bama turnout too, because they expect so much more. They expect national championship every year. The Michigan
got a good quarterback too, don't you?
In the Michigan coming in? Yeah, Bryce Underwood.
He looks like Cam Newton. I couldn't believe it when I saw your video.
Yeah, the Michigan practice was the first time we got to look at Bryce Underwood. My God, he was huge. By the way, if you're just checking us out, this is a totally impromptu show. There's no agenda. There's no.
Nick said, I got it up. Sit down. Here we go.
We show prep nothing. We came here early to try to. We were having video issues, and we wanted to make sure it was right today when T-Crest starts at 3:00. And so we just started rapping back and forth. Rock sat down, and here we are live. And this is awesome, man. And I'm having a good time doing this. T-Crest will be up at 3:00.
You're going to want to come back next year, do you think? Now, I will tell you this. It's going to be in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's going to mean change. It's going to cost a little more. So you got to start working on it. With sponsor. But you want to come back, you think?
I do. There's a few things that I will change. Like if you look behind me right now, you can kind of see the setup, all the banners. We need those. We need to invest in stuff like that. We need a sponsorship.
Great.
Like Moss Nissan is a fantastic sponsor. We should have did something like that to where Moss's logo's on it, on it. So there's a few things that I would change. I think I would almost some of the setups in here, because there are so many podcasts, they've turned it into almost like little TV sets.
They have.
And I think what I would want to do is have the guys do their radio shows from here. But then when, Colin and Dan Patrick are on, we can either do stuff like this live on YouTube or film a lot. I want to make it more about the interviews. And I think sometimes for the radio, the interviews don't always translate. Like there's so many people here, and there's a lot of big names. Like Paige Van Zandt is a massive name in the UFC world.
Yep.
They reached out and said, do you want to have her on? And it doesn't really fit the radio audience to have her on. And like, this would be the perfect outlet where I don't have to turn down any interviews and I could just put out so much content. So
I totally agree. You figure the radio listener, man, whether he's in his car, whatever he's doing, it's 10 minutes, it's 15 minutes, and they want to know what's going on. What's the big thing? Are they talking about Josh Guzard? Is a new guy? Oh, the Ray Stadium, boom, boom, boom. They got an interview. Oh, I'm not interested. But if you're going to the podcast or you're going to it, all right, man, I want to see. I got more time. You're exactly right.
Yep.
So it isn't like people don't like the interviews. It's like in radio, it's so quick, man. They just want to find out the hits. There was a program director for years out of New York, the Fan, and then he had all the sports radio stations. And he would tell his hosts, he said, it's just like radio. DJs, I'm telling you, play the hits.
Yep.
What's the hot topic, man? When they turn on sports talk, what's the hot topic locally, or if it's a national thing?
Yeah, for sure.
But
But like some of the guests, they usually have a motive. Like we had Randy Grimes yesterday, and it was a great interview. But if you do a 10-minute interview, 5 minutes is what you want to talk about, what the listener wants to hear, and the other 5 is whatever they're pushing on their agenda, right? And his message was good. I think about the average listener, and they're listening to him talk about, and again, it was a serious,
no doubt,
health issue. He was talking about, I should know. It was something with surgeries and concussions, and
he had 18.
Yes, he had 18. He told us, which is insane, but. That would be better suited for the video world if someone's not interested next. So that would be one thing that I want to change. I think that's Damani Jones, who's about to walk past you, Rock Riley. We'll get him coming through.
Yeah,
probably on his way over to ESPN to talk about the Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
Oh my God,
Jerry Jones does not make it to Radio Row, so you won't see Jerry here.
No, we're actually set up right next to of all teams, the New Orleans Saints. And I am, speaking of good radio interviews, I'm trying to get they reached out about having Cam Jordan on, and I'd love to have him on because he's the enemy number one, but they haven't set up they can't commit to a time, so I don't have them locked in yet.
No, that would be good. That would be good.
All right, you take it over for 1 second. I'm gonna put my sweater on off camera.
No problem. So, again, both teams are practicing today, and there really hasn't been one. Sometimes in these Super Bowls, there's one storyline that's going to stand out. I think the storyline now here, the referees, they give all the calls to the Chiefs because even on that opening night, somebody asked Mahomes how close he is to one of these referees. Somebody got on Kelce. Kelce's like, look, enough of the referees.
Let's talk about the Kelce one.
We're winning. Go ahead. Go right ahead.
Did you see the guy that asked the question about what he loves more, Taylor Swift or phantom 15-yard penalties? I saw a Twitter comments like, ban this guy from Media Row. No, those are the questions that everyone wants to hear.
That's the story here.
And so that's what I realized the difference between, myself and T-Kraz, right? Like everyone's different in their own way and in good reasons. That's what makes the team great is that we all are interested in different things. And, when we were talking about the opening night, I said, hey, do you want to go? And he's like, no. He's like, there's just too many silly questions. He goes, there's no real journalism in there. And I'm thinking like, oh, boy, I'm the one that likes to ask the silly questions. So it sounds like it'd be perfect for me. But then I realized how big the line was, and I did not go. But, the question, the reporter had said, do you love Taylor Swift more than 15-yard phantom calls? Travis was like, next question. But those are the questions we all want to. He went viral, right? And those are the questions that people want to ask. And I know it's rude, and I'm sure the Chiefs are tired of hearing about it, and so are their fans. But I mean, it's obvious that
is the story.
I don't want to say they get the calls, but they protect Mahomes so much that they end up getting calls. And then when Mahomes, on top of getting those calls, I just heard Pat McAfee yell. And on top of getting those calls, he flops. And the flopping is when I'm just like, are you serious?
Yeah. I was watching Louis Riddick on ESPN on one of the shows, and it was kind of funny. It was actually a clip. And he's like, let me ask you, why is Mahomes so annoying? Why? And they're like, well, because he wins so much. He goes, he doesn't get in trouble. He's a good husband.
No,
he's a good teammate.
His whole family gets in trouble while he stays out of it. But the brother, did they ban the brother?
My wife likes the wife, and she finds the brother entertaining. I don't.
Your wife does?
Just entertaining to see some of his clips.
Your wife is the only person that likes Mahomes' family.
No. She. Let me tell you. But my point is, Louis Riddick, he does bring up a good point. Like, he doesn't get in trouble. He's a great teammate. Yeah. He's a hell of a player. But people just don't like people at the top all the time.
Correct. People hate greatness.
That's what it is. Or if you're there. But Brady. People couldn't.
People hated Brady. People here in Tampa Bay hated Brady.
But I like when he was here. He was really, really good, man. He was great to us. He was a hard worker. You should see him out there. When he would come out there and he would do drills and say he does his drill, now it's going to be Trask, now it's the other quarterback. He will be over here. He's still working on movement. He's working on foot speed. He's looking. When they would do this drill for the quarterbacks, they would have somebody drive the golf cart, and it had a big, like, tire tube through it. They also had a big garbage bag behind the screen, and then there was the post. And the three quarterbacks, they would compete, and they would try to win. And one time, Trask beat him. Brady took off his helmet, went, mother blank. And I'm like, look at this. Because he just was so competitive, man, and he won. And that's why people can't stand him. But Louis Riddick is, why is Patrick Mahomes so annoying?
I think it's because we are sick of and look, I understand to protect the quarterback, because if Patrick Mahomes gets knocked out of the AFC Championship game, the Super Bowl's a lot less entertaining. So I get it from that aspect. But some of the calls, the game that upset me the most was the Bills game, because was it what? Yeah. No. It was the Texans game.
Okay.
When the Chiefs were playing the Texans, there were two calls there roughing the passer that I thought were egregious. I forgot who got the call. It was Will Anderson was one of them. And I felt like he did everything he could to not put all of his weight on Mahomes when he fell.
I remember it.
And then there was the one where the two guys on Houston literally hit each other and fell backwards. And Mahomes happened to be in the middle, but he never got hit. And that was a 15-yard penalty. So people hate that. But you're right. People do hate greatness, right? Tiger Woods, once he started winning, you don't like him anymore. LeBron, Jordan, people hate greatness, and it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. If you start winning and you're great and you're everywhere, people hate you. Think about Travis and Jason Kelce. They were two of the most likable people. I thought their commercials were fantastic. In fact, I thought the Mahomes and Kelce commercials were always funny. But then you start to get it once you put Taylor Swift with Travis Kelce, that puts him on a whole overexposed, exactly. But here's what. All right, so yes, you're right, overexposed, and so you get they're just forced down your throat, and you're like, all right, I've had enough. And then you have this late night TV show with Kelce, and you're just like, I've had enough of the Kelces. And it's too much. Now,
Kelsey's wife has a podcast, and that's highly ranked.
It drives me nuts that everyone can just do what we do. That's what I hate. Like, I worked so hard, and, I worked so hard, and then she just turns on a mic and has the most downloaded podcast. I hate how everyone can have a podcast. I hate it. I wish that they would make the podcast equipment so expensive that only, our radio companies could afford it, because everyone's got a podcast. And everyone does. They're like, oh, yeah, I got a podcast. And it's like, man, I worked really hard. Brian Dable. No, that's not Brian. That's a guy in a Saints shirt that looks like Brian Dable.
That would be funny. No, they retained him. How did they retain him? How did he keep his gig with the Giants? How? The Giants?
I think until you get him a quarterback. Doesn't he not look this guy behind you? Look to your right. Doesn't he look like Brian Dable? But he was wearing a Saints shirt.
Oh, he does. That would have been hysterical. You know what? Every year at Radio Row, I've seen him. There's the Andy Reid lookalike. Hopefully he comes around.
I've seen him.
He looks just like him.
I didn't see him yet, but I've seen him on TV.
Yeah. You may see him this week.
But yeah, I think so much it just gets thrown down your throat with Mahomes and Kelce. And, I what I don't understand are the people that get very upset about, oh, I don't want to see Taylor Swift. And it's like they barely show her.
I know.
They barely show her, and it's very rare. It's under a minute for an entire game. And here's my thing that I'll say to people that are like, oh, I'm sick of seeing her. We don't ever complain about, seeing the fat guy with his shirt off painted. No one's ever like, oh, I'm sick of seeing this fat guy with his belly painted. But we're going to complain about a really beautiful woman and them showing her. Like, why? I don't know if you saw the Grammys the other night. She looks incredible.
She looked good. So these marketing meetings that they have in the NFL. Somebody got on me. It's like the NFL doesn't care. The ratings are going to be so high for the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter.
I think part of that's true.
Well, here's the thing. I keep bringing up my brother-in-law, but he works in marketing on Park Avenue. They have these meetings, and he was telling me this because his daughter at Michigan,
Go Blue.
They love Taylor Swift stuff. And she's a girl, you know. When they showed Taylor Swift, the NFL has a way. It registers on phones on reaction, and it's from girls, young girls around the world.
Blowing up social media.
Around the world. And all these impressions, and it all turns out it does help the NFL. It gets them even more of an audience, man. I'm telling you, like girls in different countries.
I had the conversation with my dad last time he was in town, and he's one of those guys that I wish they'd stop showing Taylor. And I did the same analogy with him. You never complain about, the fat dude with a shirt off. And I said, look, Taylor, he said the NFL doesn't need Taylor. And I said, Taylor Swift is bigger than the NFL. And he was like, pfft. And I said, all right, let's just do it based off. And I know it's not the end all be all, but really it is social media.
It is.
So I went to all of her social media pages. She's got so many more followers than the NFL on every channel. And I'm like, she's the biggest. Who did he say? Oh, and I told him that Taylor Swift was the biggest person in the world. He said, Jason Statham. I said, what? Jason Statham is the biggest?
Is he a fan of him?
I guess so. And he was like, Jason Statham is the biggest person in the world. And I was like, dude, most people can't picture him, like point him out in a crowd. But Taylor Swift, you see, and it's like, it's Taylor Swift. So I never understand why people, it shouldn't ruin your day is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
like you don't have to like her.
No.
But it shouldn't invoke you to say mean things. Because like, so, if you follow 95.3 WDAE and AM 620 on, any of our social platforms, like we're a big company in iHeartRadio, and there are people who publish things on our website. There's a national department.
Oh,
and
I know. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Please explain this. I know what you're getting at.
They cover everything that happens, especially when it's one of the Kelseys or Taylor Swift, because clearly as many people that hate it, they love it and they're clicking on it, and they're obviously seeing the data come in that when they post these articles, they're getting the clicks. And anytime one of these lands on the 95.3 WDAE and AM 620 social media pages, the comments that people write are just like, they're so mean. Now, people write mean things on things that I post about me. I've had people write the meanest things about me. The DA listeners, sports radio listeners are just mean.
Oh yeah.
And I love you guys. I appreciate you listening, but man, can you be mean? And the comments about Taylor Swift will be so nasty.
I love when
like,
Tommy
oh
Chuck
my god,
responds like very sarcastic. And,
I
hope they stay together. It's hysterical.
So my thing with social media, because I do like to interact. If we put content out there, I like to interact from the station account. If anyone's mean to me, I try to kill them with kindness, and it usually works. Like when someone's like, Nick Wise is a douche and should have been fired, I'm like, hey man, I appreciate you following us. I'm sorry you didn't like what I had to say, but I thank you for listening. And I try to kill them with kindness. And
You're
usually
shocked.
Yes.
You respond.
You get a shot. You get a response back.
That's what they wanted.
Like, who I don't like? I'm not a huge Jamel Hill fan for many different reasons. Messaged her or hit her up one time on Twitter. She wrote me back, and I didn't write anything mean to her, but I wrote something to her, and she responded, and I immediately was like, oh, that was really cool. Now, I'm still not a huge fan of her, but like I thought that was really cool of her. But yeah, I'll kill him with kindness.
They say you should do that. That is the way to grow, like to engage. I got to be better at that. A lot of times I don't feel like responding, but it just takes a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want the station to be bigger than the listener, because it's not. Without the listener, the station's nothing. So I like to respond. It's good for the algorithm. It spreads our stuff out a little bit more.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it gets when the listener gets a response, it goes for like. So I got the guys, since I started managing the station, I've got the guys responding back to text messages that come into the station, because if someone texts Pat or Aaron should write that person back. And a lot of times a mean text will come in and that gets a response. And I don't. You can respond to the mean person, but if someone writes, "I love your show," they took the time out of their day to do that. Write them back and say thank you. So I had a guy a couple weeks ago, told me I should have been fired and whatnot. And I kept saying, hey, man, I hope you have a great weekend. I appreciate you listening. And he literally wrote back, killing him with kindness ain't going to work on me, Nick Wise. And I was like, hey, whatever. I'm like, this guy's such a dick that I'm being nice and he still does not care. If you're watching us live right now, it's Nick Wise and Rock Riley. We're live from Radio Row in New Orleans, as the screen says in front of you, here for the Super Bowl. This started off as we were just testing the audio, trying to get the video up and going. We had some issues earlier this week. We wanted to get the video up and rolling for T-Crass, who's going to be live at 3 o'clock, of course. And then we just kept going, Rock, and here we are.
You did it, man. Good job for you. Good job.
And if anyone walks by, it's hard to do while we're on, but if anyone walks by, I'd love to interact. Martin Gramatica was he's everywhere. Yeah, I just saw him over here standing around a minute ago.
What was he pumping? I used to do
nothing. He just came on.
He has a book out that even.
He just came on to be cool. He didn't really have a message for Tampa.
He loves Tampa Bay, man. His sons, both, one is kicking for USF. The other one is getting all these offers. He's in high school.
Yeah, he did mention that. He was hoping that USF sends him an offer as well. I think he wants his kids to stay home.
They are so tight. When Martin was here, Bill Gramatica, and then he ended up going to the NFL. And then
hold up real quick. Behind you on the podcast stage is Shannon Sharp on the iHeartRadio.
This way so people can see better.
Hold on, let me go to your camera. No, go the other direction.
Go the other direction.
Yeah, behind Rock Riley, that guy is sitting down. It's hard to really see, but Shannon Sharp is sitting up there on the iHeartRadio.
He is successful. But the Gramaticas were so tight. They were always together. They lived together. They lived together in a house when Martin was a kicker. He was like the dad, even though it was, brother and brothers, Santiago and Bill Gramatica and Martin. And remember Dave Moore, who's on the broadcast on 98 Rock. He's the color analyst for Buccaneer games, and he was a player at the time. And he'd go, damn, Martin, your whole can I ever see just you without your brother? In a good way. You guys are always together, man. So his son was getting these offers from big schools and outside the area, and he was just like, I really hope he stays in Tampa. And sure enough, he has. And then they can all come and watch him. So it's not always like, what's the best for me, NIL and all this. What is the best for you as a kid? College. Arch Manning was on Dan Patrick yesterday night. This morning, I was watching the clip. Not Arch Manning, his dad, Cooper Manning, and it was great. He was like, your son was a backup and could have played at any school in the country, but he didn't transfer. And Arch Manning was like, you know what? In the end, if you're good, isn't college still about the experience and about getting a little bit of an education and growing as a kid? You can go for just, the most NIL. But if you're going for just because some of these kids.
Rock, though, he even though he's on the bench, was getting the most NIL. So it's easy to stay when you're getting the most NIL in your backup. You've seen the show Blue Mountain State.
That is a good point, but I really
seen the show Blue Mountain State. The backup quarterback's the best position. Arch Manning has probably had the two greatest years of college football anyone could ever have. He's made millions. He doesn't have to play. He's still the most famous quarterback on the team and doesn't have to take the abuse. Who has it, in the words of Jim Harbaugh, who's got it better than Arch Manning? Nobody. But that's why he stayed. The Texas brand was making him enough money that there's only a few other places he could make that, but Sark is a good, a great quarterback coach.
No, he did say his situation was good too, though. It wasn't just the money, though. Seriously.
You mentioned Gramatica a couple minutes ago. He wants his kids to stay at USF. I mean, what better pressure situation and environment to practice kicking and get you ready for the NFL when, because in the NFL, when you make a pressured kick, it can be loud. And, if you're at USF, you could be practicing your kick while Alex Golish is chomping his gum. And you could be prepared for any sound in the world after that.
Who more?
Yeah, I caught him after
Pete Carroll or Golish?
Oh man, both of them. Carroll's like that too. I caught up with Alex Golish at the sneaker soiree, and I love thanking people, for coming on the airwaves. And I'm new to the program director role at the station, so I'm trying to to meet as many people as I can in the sports world. And I just like to thank anyone that ever comes on. And so I walked up to, I know he had no idea who I was. And I said, hey, Coach, Nick Wise, WDAE, I'm the program director over there. I just want to say thanks for always coming on. I really appreciate that. And he was like, yeah, man, no problem. I'm trying to build a brand. You know, you're just chopping the gum. He loves that gum, man. He really does. But he was a super nice guy. He said, hey, well, look, we're just trying to build the brand. We appreciate you letting us on. And Coach Golesh is allowed to come on anytime he wants.
That's awesome. I think the new stadium is huge too.
Well, to me, college football,
it's got to be on campus. It
has to be.
It is, because college kids, I've been through this. Years ago, I did the Rutgers show back in New Jersey. I produced it and I hosted, did it for a couple of years. They were playing in the Meadowlands. Just like Ray J, all upper deck nobody was up there, just all the seats. It feels hollow.
And at the Meadowlands, there's nothing around. You have to drive. No. College students don't want to drive.
So they redo the stadium that they had on campus. And say what you will about Schiano. I know Buccaneer fans can't stand him, but he was
great coach at Rutgers.
He was great coach at Rutgers. So he builds it up. And the kids, they loved it. They started going more and more and more. And it's the same thing at USF. Kids on a Friday, say they're playing on a Saturday. Kids are partying on a Friday night. They're hungover. Do they want to organize and get in the car and go to Raymond James Stadium, or do they want to walk through the campus and just roll into the game?
I went to my first Florida game this year, and college is just, people always say, what do you love about college football? And Pat Donovan always says, don't say the atmosphere. But the atmosphere is a big part of it.
It's huge. It's true.
Yes, the game is different from the NFL. Yes, the targeting penalty is stupid, but you know what I love about college? Nobody's protected. Yes, the quarterbacks are, but it's all evenly. And so I do like that about college. But to be on the college campus, it's something special. When we were parked our car and then walked all through the Florida Gator campus, you walk past all the sororities and the frat houses. And we did one lap around that little circle there. And I told my buddies, if I'm a coach, I'm doing one lap around here with my 5-star recruit. There's no way they're going to say no. It was the most, I always tell my wife, they were the most beautiful people I've ever seen. I say guys and girls, but let's be honest, the girls are incredible and so good looking at Florida. If you take a high school kid around, there's a senior trying to decide where he wants to go, he ain't going to get out of Gainesville. And in fact, so a couple weeks after we went to the game, Billy Napier was bringing in this, he's a 4-star, 5-star. He was bringing him in. He was committed to USC. I texted my buddies who went to the game with me. I said, if they take him around all the frat houses and sororities, there's no way he leaves Gainesville without committing. He committed, and Billy Napier got him. And then we had Billy Napier on the airwaves. And I said, Coach, I did one lap around that. I go, I would commit to your school any day. I said, that's where you got to take your recruits. But if you do that at USF, you don't quite have that, right? And having the stadium right in your backyard, it just makes such a difference. And I know some people don't believe in that.
No, they don't. They don't. I had a guy who goes, that's the stadium a Super Bowl was played in. That's the stadium that Brady won. These kids are playing in that stadium. And I said, listen, for several years, I was on the USF radio network. And what happens is you're up in the press box, the opposing team comes in, and even a smaller school. The kids come with the headphones. They walk in the stadium, their suits. They're doing all this. Okay, great. Whoa, this is a big stadium. That's nice. And they put it down. And then that's it. Then you get to the game, and it's not loud. There's only 16,000 fans there. It's cavernous. No, it would be much better to play in a 30,000-seat stadium, man. It's all packed in. When they have the spring game, and it's at Corbett Stadium, and everybody's sitting around on the lawn, and it feels like it's like there's more people. It's atmosphere. So I know some people don't get it. And then what happens is if I tell them that, even though I've experienced it, and they still come back at me like they know.
Now, I'll say the one thing about college, though, is that I don't like is this, and I hope at USF, I hope they give us seats. The bleachers, the thing with Florida is I'll go to every college game once. I probably won't go twice. I want to experience it, and the experience is great, but I don't like being pushed in. Even just Michigan games at the Big House.
UCF, it's just like
the last time I was at the Big House, I was sitting like this in between this lady's legs, and so the bleachers are a lot. And when we went to the game in Gainesville, it was funny because so we get to our seats and we get it's a fight to get to the middle of the row. And we finally get there, and there's I look at this girl and I go, I think you're in my seats. And as I say that, I'm not super confident I'm in the right section, but I'm semi-confident I'm in the right section. And so we get there and I go, you're not in the right seat. And she goes, no, I'm not, but this person's in my seat. And he was the row below us.
Oh, I hate all that.
And I said,
I hate all that.
And I said, oh, well, you got to figure it out. She's like, what do I do? And I said, here's Grimes is right behind you. There he is right there in his wheelchair for everybody. He's got like a little scooter.
Yeah.
But so anyways, she's like, what do I do? And I said, sir, you're in the wrong seat.
Good job.
And he's like, no, I'm in the blah, blah, blah. So I'm in row 22, seat 33. And I said, yeah, let me see your ticket. And he's right. He was in row 22 and in seat 30. But he was in the other section. I said, your section's over there. And so this guy and his wife had been sitting there for 5 hours. They folded up their LSU chairs because we're playing LSU that day, folded up the LSU chair, and then it took them forever to get it. I felt bad. I'm like, how's he going to get that out of there? How's he going to go get into his new seat with that thing? And then they laughed. And then I made friends with all the Gator fans because I was like, LSU fans, they can't count. They don't know the difference between numbers. But college football stadiums are unlike any other. Like, okay, let's say, Rock, that you were able to, let's say that I told you, all right, you could visit as many college stadiums, NFL stadiums, Major League Baseball stadiums, NHL arenas, basketball arenas. Which one would I take you up on? If I was like, you could take a tour of whatever you wanted, you could see them all, what sport would you choose to see all the stadiums on? Because for me, the answer is easy.
Now, I grew up in New Jersey. New Jersey is all pro. They have Rutgers.
Yes, I lived in New York. It's
very Hall sometimes in basketball, but it's all pro.
It's mostly Michigan and Ohio State in New York City.
That being said, I like to go to different campuses and college stadiums. They're so different. A lot of pro stadiums can look somewhat similar. And when you the experience, I love the tailgate. I love on campus. I love that. So isn't that funny? I'm a pro guy from New Jersey, but I think I love that because my wife went to the University of Georgia, even though she grew up in Clearwater, went to Countryside High School, all that jazz. She went to University of Georgia. So 2 summers ago, my daughter was in a camp up in this little Blairsville, Georgia that nobody knows about.
Chris Mathis is from there.
I was there this summer. He goes, I said, Blairsville. So anyway, I surprised her. And after we dropped off our daughter, I didn't tell her where we were going. We're going down. And all of a sudden on Main Street, she's like, we're going to UGA. I said, yes, we are. We stayed in downtown 2 days. We walked. It's a big-ass campus. And what blew me away, University of Georgia Bulldogs, right at the student center where she used to put her name up. Anybody going to Clearwater, Florida? She didn't even have a car until she could get out of college, some girls. And sometimes she would get some rides. We went in the student center. It was right there. The stadium is right next to the student center. And we walk out, and it was open. No, so everybody's relaxed. This is summer. We look out. 95,000. 95,000 get in and out of here next to the student center on campus, but they got it. They got a system down. They got it down. And I'm like, this was awesome.
So for me, it's college football stadiums too. And it's because of it's the history.
Yeah.
If I'm doing a tour of baseball stadiums, there are some.
Well, you would like the Green Bay. You would like the Packers. That's
the one NFL stadium I do want to see, despite my hatred for the Packers. But when you think about college football stadiums, there's just so much history.
Yeah.
Where if you go to Major League Baseball, you have Boston, you have Wrigley, which I've been to.
And maybe St. Louis. That's it.
Yeah,
That's about it.
Like when the Tigers went they're now in Comerica Park.
Yeah.
I look at pictures of Tiger Stadium. I'm like, I wish they just still played here. It had that baseball stadium feel to it.
Yeah.
Where Comerica doesn't have that. And baseball, so there's not many baseball stadiums left. As far as the NFL goes, there's Lambeau Field. That's really it. And outside of the stadiums are all for the most part less than 30 years old. And it's like, I want that stuff that is built in where football games started being played there in 1908. I like history. And what I'll do when I watch college football too.
You get me pumped up here.
I know. This is a nerd thing about me. But this is, part of my love for college football. This is a nerd thing about me. When I'm watching a game, I like to Google the stadium, and I like to Google the school. And I'll do this during March Madness, too, because March Madness, you'll hear about these schools like Xavier, right? You never hear about Xavier except March.
Right.
And then I'll Google Xavier. And I'm like, oh, there's 6,000 students. Oh, it's a Jesus school. Like, you learn all of these things. And I like to do it with college football. One night I'm watching a Cal football game. Nobody watches a Cal football
Cal
game.
Berkeley, baby.
And I'm like, that stadium looks kind of cool. So I Googled the stadium, and I learned that it's built on a fault line. And I'm like, that's cool. I did not know that. Like, and part of the stadium, like, they have issues where it, like, cracks and falls apart in some spots. And, so it's been there since the 1900s and early 1900s. And it's just that, to me, about college football is so cool, because you walk into an NFL stadium, you walk into, let's say, where the Minnesota Vikings play. There's no history there. You walk where the Raiders play. There's no history. Levi Stadium, no history. Right. Obviously, there's a little bit at Ray J. But even when the grand scheme of things, Ray J is new in the compared to college football stadiums. So, like, that history element is something that the old Sombrero is a place that looks cooler to me. Like, I love those old bowl stadiums, right? And like the Rose Bowl, for example.
Oh, have you ever been there?
No.
Lucky enough, back to back, when FSU and Jameis and blah, 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 they won it, and then they lost to Mario and Oregon. Got to go for Beatty's 9 both times. The most beautiful setting, man. And the mountain is right there. And the sun, the kickoff, right at kickoff, the sun is just starting to come to set. And everybody, and I remember, what's his name? He covers college football. Brett, he's
McMurphy.
Yeah. And he he hit me and he goes, isn't this pretty cool being here right now? I'm like, this is the most beautiful setting. The grass, everything there. The Rose Bowl. Oh, the granddaddy of them all, man.
The Rose Bowl is fan. A lot of people are always talking about, too, should the Rose Bowl just be, I don't know who's behind you, but there are all kinds of,
that means there's usually somebody big.
Everybody is piled up behind. I know it's Shannon Sharp on the iHeartRadio Network. I don't know who is with him. Yeah, I got the camera on you now. But whoever's with him is drawing a massive. Let me stand up and see if I can.
Who is it? Tell me
who he's with. I actually think it's Shannon Sharp and.
Shannon Sharp does have.
Oh, dude, it's Jaden Daniels.
Get out.
Jaden Daniels is behind you. I'm trying to look at you. Nah, you're good. You're not going to be able to see him. He's okay. So where the NFL logo is by Rock, Jaden Daniels is kind of by that iHeart logo. Where the iHeartRadio logo is on that white wall. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see it. It's got Jaden Daniels.
Isn't that something? That shows you how big of a draw he is right now. I mean, Mahomes is the face of the NFL, but will it be Jaden Daniels coming up?
We're iHeartRadio. Like, can you give us Jaden Daniels here in Tampa? We have a few questions for you, Jaden.
Here, but Nick Wise, he's the up-and-coming talk show host.
We have a few questions for you, Jaden. You took out my hometown team. You took out my current town team, Jaden Daniels. Right. Jaden Daniels has wrecked me twice, man. Because
can you? He's good.
For those of you that don't know, I'm originally from Detroit, so I'm always going to love, and some people, Bucs fans, really hate that I still like my other team. And I always ask people, if you moved from one place to another, are you just going to erase the memories you have with your dad watching that team? You're not, right? So I'm always going to love my hometown teams, but it doesn't mean I can't like and learn to love. Like, when we first got here, the Lightning treated us so well, and they still do. I love them. The Rays I've come to love. Now, I know there's issues with ownership and all of that, but the Rays themselves are such good partners of ours. I really, truly love watching Rays baseball.
You know how to get it done on the field.
And I know more about the Rays than I do my hometown team. But when it comes to football, the memories that I have my father and, brother and family, when you move away, like I have, to do radio, and none of your family lives with you, I don't like missing a football game, because I know when either the Wolverines or the Lions are on, I know that my family's doing the same thing, and I feel like I'm with them, right?
Understandable.
But that doesn't mean I'm not rooting for your Bucs, because I have just as much invested. Now, you're invested as the listener and viewer, because we're on YouTube. You're invested in the Bucs emotionally. You love them. I'm invested in the Bucs financially, and I don't mean betting, but this radio station's success is much higher when the Bucs are having success. We have a lot more listeners when they're good. So when people are like, oh, you don't really care about the Bucs. Hell, I don't. All right. My livelihood is on the Bucs. You know what I don't like? When the Bucks play the Lions and I got to decide between my hometown team and my money. And I'm like, well, this one's not good for business. I also want to see my team win. But if my team wins, then my business goes down. So I like to try to avoid Bucks Lions games. Last year was a nightmare for me. I hated it so much because I can't show that I'm happy my team won because, all right, hold on. I'm going to go the camera back. You standing up. Let's see if you can see him on the screen. He's walking off the stage. That was Jaden Daniels that just popped off. Washington Commanders. Let's see if he walks right behind you. Right, we're good. He's on the side of the stage right now. Let's see if he.
Here's the.
All right, he's coming. He's coming right behind you.
Okay.
There he is. He's got a whole crew there. It's hard because the screen I'm looking on is opposite, so he's gone. But that was Jaden Daniels. But yeah, so
he's got a big entourage.
He's got a massive. I think that's also media following him.
And he was a rookie. That's probably
rookie.
What it is.
So yeah, Jaden Daniels, taking out both my teams financially and emotionally. It sucked. But yeah, I don't like seeing the Lions play the Bucs, and people don't understand. They think that you have to be a diehard fan to talk about their team, and I think I can give a different perspective because, as a fan, you're so emotionally biased sometimes where I can give you a different perspective. I put on, we did a prediction show one time, Rock, and it was mine and Chris Mathis, and we asked Bucs fans to call in and tell us how many games you think they're going to win this year. I think it was Baker's first year, and they won. They went 9-8. Everybody that called in, 13, 14, 12, 13, 15. You don't get the true predictions. And so I feel like I'm able to give you a different opinion,
Fan is short for fanatic.
Correct.
What I have found, what they really don't want, if you're a host in a market, don't be a total homer. You got to call it like it is. You can want the team to do well. You can like players on the team, but you got to call it like it is.
Correct.
People over the years have been like, oh my God. Now, when you get much older and you don't identify, players are younger, but I've been here 30 years in this market. And even early on, it'd be like, there's some really good guys that you cover. And I'm in the locker room all the time and I see them, but I never wanted to be close friends because what happens when Brad Johnson has a really bad game? What happens when he's losing it? And I'm friends with him, but I'm also a talk show host. You got to call it like it is. There's somebody, I'm not going to say his name, but it's on the Rays, and the Rays have never done anything wrong. Everything is always positive. That's too much. That's a homer. You're not paid by the team. It's different if you're paid by the team.
Well, I like looking at the Buccaneers. There's websites that cover just the Bucs, and I love watching their predictions because they always predict the Bucs, and I'm like, they're not going to win every single game. It's just not going to happen.
I started doing this thing this year, and it didn't pan out. They were good. Every startup is hard. It was called the 813, and there was backing and everything. We started it. And we did a show at a Hooters like this for predictions. And, we did it and did a whole thing on blah, 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 blah. And give me your predictions, okay? These guys are big fans, okay? 14 wins. They came to me and I said 10-7. And actually, when I was driving down there, because they were paying me and I was appreciative of the gig and I didn't want to really piss them off. And I really thought 9 wins. And I was driving to Sarasota and I'm like, you know what? These guys, and I want to make sure that, keep paying me, man. Let's start the season. I said, I'm going to say they're going to win 10 games. I didn't think they were. I thought it was 9. And they ended up winning 10 games. But when I said 10 wins, 10-7, they were like, what? The other guy goes, hey, man, that's what he thinks. Let him go. One guy said 16 wins, 16-1. Yeah, but that's why. Fans, short for fanatic. You are a talk show host now. Here's another thing that I found out, and I tell this story, and I don't know if I ever told you this. When I first came to this market, and I did a show on Sunday nights on 970 WFLA because there was no WDAE. There was 93.3, Power Pig, FLZ, and there was 970. So Ted Webb had a nighttime show on Sunday nights. I came here from Denver for 2 years, but I'm really from Jersey. And I said, guys, I'm playing basketball in South Tampa Tuesday and Thursday nights, and we go for beers over at this place, and we sit there, and this was the time of Spurrier, this was the time of Bobby Bowden, this was the time of the Miami Hurricanes. They were always in the top 5. And I said,
I miss those days.
And I said, you know what, guys? I see being down here in Tampa now, you can't be on the fence. You either got to be a Gator or a Knoll. And you know what? These Gator fans that I'm drinking beers with after playing hoops, they are so obnoxious. I'm going to be a Knoll. You should see the phone. You should see the screen, the calls coming in, man. It was like, go back to New Jersey. F you. You suck. Your name is Rock. Get the hell out of here. And then I realized, whoa, there's a lot of Gator fans in Tampa Bay. If I'm going to continue in this market, I'm going to alienate one whole fan base.
Right.
I'm going to play it like this. And because of my years on Bay News 9, a live talk show host, talk 18 years, I didn't want to alienate one set. So you got to be, are you still fan or are you professional? You can have your, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this place is like, I'm like a
kid in the candy store?
Yeah, I'm like a dog when he sees a squirrel. Like, so you'll see my eyes go, and it's
usually the beautiful ladies.
Well,
you're a man.
It's that, but not even just that. It's like Jaden Daniels, and it's like Barry Sander. And so when you're talking to me and you see my head going everywhere,
I understand.
I'm like a dog, and there's just tennis balls flying around out here, and I'm whether it's like pretty girls or just star-studded athletes that you're seeing. It's just someone that has like ADD.
It's only Wednesday. What do you
there's
see
that
Friday?
There's that Philly fan. We should get that guy on.
Gilly. His name is Gilly.
Gilly. Hey, Gilly. Gilly, you want to come on?
No, that's the other guy. I don't know his name. What's happening, man? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, you do your thing.
No, Gilly is the one that does the dancing. Or Gilly. I don't know this guy's name.
Oh.
But we could.
I see him everywhere. He was in Tampa when the Bucks came.
Yeah, I don't know his name. The other guy, you know the other guy with the big hat and the dancing, he dances all the time?
Yes.
That's
Gilly. No, that's not. I don't know that guy's name, but
Cunningham.
He's wearing a Randall Cunningham jersey.
He'll come on. Crap. If he comes on,
hold on, let's Google.
I'll give him this.
Let's Google Philly fan with Mohawk. Okay, there's a lot of articles on him.
Okay. If he comes, I'm going to give him this headset.
Well, I got an extra mic here too.
But I want him to be able to
be on camera.
Yeah.
All right, here he is. He's the Philly sports guy, I think is his name.
Okay.
Doesn't have a name. I mean, he might not even come on. Who cares? But how do these big fans get on?
I don't know. The guy Gilly is in the locker room. When they celebrated, he was celebrating in the locker room with the Eagles. I don't know. Now, there was Big Nasty for years. He was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame as a Buccaneer fan, but he was never really in the locker room after games. He might have been on Radio Row 1 year or two. I don't know, but how do they do it? I don't know. There's some people that schmooze. Some people here that have a podcast on here. I'm like, how did you get here? But they're able to do it. Some people are good at schmoozing, man.
Yeah, if I would have known we were going to do this thing again, this was all off the cuff. So that's 850 KOA. I think is that Denver?
Yeah, Denver's KOA. Yeah.
They do a great job on social media. I see them everywhere.
They're a Nightheart station, or I don't know. Are they?
I'm not sure. I think they are.
No, I lived in there. They're it.
If I would have known that we were going to be doing the show again, this was all impromptu. We were just testing out. I would have tried to get us some guests and maybe.
Now we know.
But now it's just maybe for tomorrow we'll bring some people on. We'll do the YouTube stream again.
That sounds good.
But this has been really cool. What were we talking about before?
We're talking about
I got all tennis. Oh yeah. We're talking about fans. Yeah. So when I had predicted the Buccaneers to finish second behind the Falcons this year, and obviously I ended up being wrong. But
everybody thought. Everybody did.
And look, they were so much better on paper. And here's how I presented it to a lot of people when a fan would say, "Oh, whatever, you hate Tampa," and I'd say, "All right, let me read this off to you." All right, and I'd give them a bunch of numbers. Said, here's Team A, number. Team B, number. Which team would you take? Just looking at this. I'll take Team A. All right, well, Team A was the Falcons. Okay, so when you take away the helmet logo, you look at it and you go, okay, this team could finish. Atlanta should have won the division. They beat the Bucks twice. They
Oh,
fell
I
apart
know.
at the end of the year. It wasn't like I made a bad prediction.
Kirk Cousins was
They choked.
he was so good against the Buccaneer defense.
Now, just because I picked the Falcons to win the division, I'll tell you one thing. I don't root for my takes. I wanted the Buccaneers to win.
See, no,
You know,
that's
it's better
good.
for business.
No, you do a good job.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. As long as I'm entertaining, that's what I want to be.
I told you, you do a good job with strong takes, and then you back it up, and then that's good. That's good. They don't want to hear wishy-washy, man.
No,
They don't.
there's Greg Olson behind you. Greg Olson just walked by. He's not going to be calling the Super Bowl.
He is a good guy. So right before Brady,
Big dude.
his play-by-play guy went to William Patterson College. After I flunked out I was partying myself out of St. Leo, so I went back to Jersey, and I went to William Patterson College. And the play-by-play guy went to William Patterson. And I went up to the press box. Hey, can you do my podcast right here? And Greg Olson was sitting right there, and he was really good. And at the end, I said, Greg, you're doing a good job. He goes, oh, thank you very much. Then at the NFL owners meetings, Greg Olson was getting his package on and having a good time. He was over there with the Rams, McVay, this and that. And then Fox makes the move. They're going to pay Tom Brady $300 million to be the number one analyst. And because Fox has the Super Bowl this year, here he is as a rookie broadcaster. He's getting it. Olson's kind of ticked. He was on Dan Patrick. It was really good. And he was like, my goal is to not be doing 1:00 regional games. I think I am the best at what I do. And so whether I'm at Fox or wherever, I'm like, ooh, Fox people aren't going to like hearing that. But I think you never know. He did do a good job. I think Brady is going to get better. There was a report that, Brady has got so much going on that he's going to be quitting broadcasting. You wait and see. I think T-Kraz even said this might be his last game. I don't know if T-Kraz is still sticking with that. But Marchant, who does a radio TV, he's the sports he's really good. You talk to Brady. Brady's not going anywhere. He's going to do this next 9 years. He wants to get better. But how is he able to run the Raiders, Nick, and be the number one analyst?
But he's making so much money. Like, why would he turn that down? You know, we were talking about people hating greatness earlier. My wife hates Tom Brady.
Really?
Absolutely hates him. Whenever he does,
she's a Michigan man, right?
Yeah, no, she doesn't care. She hates Tom Brady, and she didn't like him when he was on the Bucks. Whenever he does a game that we're watching, she's like, is Tom Brady doing this game? And I'm like, yeah. Okay, so it's a Packers game, right? She double hates the Packers. I think he was on the call for Packers-Eagles. She's like, oh, Packers and Tom Brady? She's like, this is the worst.
It's hysterical. You know what, man? I saw him in the hall. I saw him in the elevator at Ray J, and he came out. And like I say, his play-by-play guy saw me. He said, hey, WPC. I said, hey, Tom. And he goes, hey. Because, I was there covering him all the time. And I don't know if he knows the name, but the face. He goes, hey. I said, listen, man, welcome back. And I think you're doing a good job. He goes, thank you, brother. And then he went up to the and he didn't have any more of a entourage than the one that drives me crazy is Romo. Do you know what Romo does for his games?
Ooh, Jim.
He carries a golf club.
Really?
Yes, in the press box, walking right by us to go to the game. We know you play golf. We know you're good. I don't know. He annoys me. I thought he was good in the beginning and then talking too much, man, and yelling. I don't know. He just annoys me.
I thought he was really good in the beginning, too. And I think, he went from the NFL. Here comes Greg Olson again. He went from the NFL to here. I'm going to put the camera on you. We'll see Greg Olson walk by. You're good. He's going to the iHeart stage. That's him with his back. He's hopping up on the stage right now. That's Greg Olson. If you're watching,
that's a good company, iHeart.
Yeah, I wish they'd send us the guest.
He got a nice set over there.
Yeah, he does.
I'll get a picture of you sitting over there before we leave.
So, it looks like he's going on with Shannon Sharp. But with Romo, I think he went straight into the number one chair, and maybe he doesn't put in the work. And I was kind of worried about that with Tom Brady too. But I don't think Tom Brady's that kind of guy. He's not going to get just comfortable.
No.
And he's going to want to be the best. And I think that I think that Tony Romo got the gig in the number one spot, and it's all he cares about. He's there, and he doesn't really put in the work because I do think a lot of it's sloppiness and laziness. There's times where I hear him talk, and he'll be like, "Oh, get into it." Like, "Oh yeah, do your read real quick, Jim." And there's just a lot of times where I'm like, "Okay, he's not on the same page." And look, I'm totally speculating, but I also feel like Jim Nantz is kind of annoyed by him. Where was I listening? I think it was on Dan. It was either Cowherd or Dan Patrick show.
Okay.
He had on Jim Nantz. And I don't remember the exact question, but just the way that Jim Nantz kind of was like, "Oh, yeah, Tony." It kind of made me think, like, I think he's annoyed by Tony Romo.
I wouldn't doubt it. I honestly would not doubt it. There was something. Oh. You know what I found out about Brady? And I didn't know. We all know about his Jake Glazer over there, Fox. We're a Fox station now, so he may down the road. Anyway, the Mr. Insider.
Yeah, I probably
Fox.
should get off of this and try to find T-Crest some guests. I'll do that. We'll do 20 more minutes. What time is it? It's 12:40 local, 1:40 in Tampa.
That sounds good.
2:00. I'll go hustle around.
But do you know what he did? We know about like Brady's preparation as a player. I didn't know this. He used to get the quotes, the newspapers, and the video on YouTube or press conferences and locker rooms of opposing teams that week because he said players, they give away stuff. Like, well, how are you going to do to stop Brady in the passing attack or his check down? Well, what we're going to do is we might have a spy here. We're going to go over here, this and that. Brady would have somebody give them this every week. I never heard of another quarterback do that. Like, there was no stone left unturned. So much. The PR head of the Bucs is named Nelson Luis. He's one of the best in the business. And I said, Nelson, what's it like dealing with Brady? And he said, great. He said, here's my time. Here's my schedule. Just abide by this. At this time, after he's doing this he's going to do his plyometrics. This is his film work. This is his this. Like, his whole day was like that. He was so driven. That's why he was 7-time Super Bowl champ and being able to do this in his 40s, man.
Correct. He when guys put in that much effort and study that much, a guy that I truly admire and think he's a great player, and he is Amon-Ra St. Brown of the Lions,
what
and he was
hell of a receiver.
He was a 4th round pick, but he knows the name of every. Have you seen him do this?
No.
Okay, so he has a list. He reads it every day when he wakes up, and he can say it spot on if you ask him. If you walk up to him and say, "Hey, name the 16 receivers that were drafted in front of you," he'll name all 16 teams. He'll name their college, and he goes off. And it's just funny to hear him do that because most of the names that were drafted before him aren't as good as him.
I think the Lions will be there again.
Well, the Super Bowl logo for next year is the Lions colors. If you believe in all of that, because the Super Bowl logo this year is Chiefs colors.
I know.
Maybe Jared Goff goes back to California. Look, I'd love to see the Lions or the Bucs get into that. That'd be awesome, and then go to it.
Oh, then all the shows would be there. Pat and Aaron show, you'd be there. Everybody be there. That'd be great. That'd be great. But that's next year. But no, it's been great having you as running the ship. New energy. Everybody's pumped up.
I saw the Super Bowl tickets were. I saw the sale price was plummeting a little bit.
No kidding.
Yeah, I saw they had gone down. Let me see if I can find the cheapest ticket. Usually the ESPN website's connected.
Didn't you and Mathis do?
Yeah, we did.
Ticket. That was a good segment.
Yeah, we did. We did football ticket prices right. You had to guess the cheapest ticket into the game, which we can do that right now. So,
okay.
I got it pulled up. Kansas City, Philadelphia, 6:30 on Fox. Caesar Superdome in New Orleans. The line right now is KC -1.5.
Yep.
Cheapest ticket into the game. What do you think it is?
I would say $5,000.
It's lower. In fact, I'm actually surprised by this number. Now, it's still, I'll say this, it's still higher than I would pay to go to a game because I don't, you know me, Rock, and maybe I've told you this before. I do like going to the college games. I like seeing it at least once.
Yep.
But I don't like going to football games because high definition television. The broadcast is so fantastic now that I what's the point of going to a game? I got cheap beer at home. I can pee and
I understand.
not
if
wait in
you're-
line.
And
And
you said,
I feel
at
like
a
you miss a lot when you're at the
at a
game.
college game, you're on a bleacher. If
Yeah.
you're in the middle, like at the big house, and you got to take a leak, and you're sitting in the middle, how much of a pain in the butt is that?
It's like going to the movies. When you go to the movie theater, you're going to miss the movie when you got to go take a pee. So, yeah, I just think the viewing experience from home is so good
There's
now
no doubt, especially you got 3
that
TVs.
it's hard for me to want to go. I think I'm going to redo the setup. So I just moved. Well, now that YouTube's got the little 4 box thing, I think
Yeah.
I'm going to do. There's Greg Olson. I got the camera on you. He's getting off the stage right now. Greg Olson's right behind you.
Are you a YouTube
You're good.
YouTube TV guy?
I'm a YouTube TV
See, I'm
guy.
Hulu. I was thinking about going back to YouTube.
Yeah, make the switch. YouTube's great. It's got the four squares, and so I think I'm going to do 2 TVs, and then on the bottom, top and the bottom, and I can do the 4 squares on one, and just do one. Have one game on the big screen.
That
Because
sounds
the
good. I
thing
gotta
with
talk to my
3,
wife
the
about
thing is 3 is it's great, but when you have guests over your house, like I feel like I embarrass my wife because like she brings a friend out and then I've got all these TVs and so at times it's kind of embarrassing. It's like, yeah, I'm a psycho. I am. I've got an addiction to sports.
No, I think you are like.
I'm like, I got to do it for work. It's for
There
work.
you go. No, I think you're the average guy. There at Barstool Sports, there's this guy named Jersey Jerry, and he was on this show, and Big Cat is one of the hosts, and he and PFT, and they were busting his biz all so bad. They're like, who only has one big screen TV now? And,
Yeah.
and everybody's like, no. And Jersey Jerry said, I had one. You only have one? And I told my wife, we only have one in the living room. I got to get on the stick. I mean, I got my man cave. No, mostly every guy does. No.
Here's why you do, because the games now that are streaming, everyone gets so pissed off about this. By the way, we're in the middle of the game. You haven't guessed the lowest ticket yet. Everyone gets so pissed off about when the game is on Prime or Peacock and you can't flip back and forth. That's where the second TV comes in handy because, if a game's on Peacock exclusive, it is a pain in the ass to go. You got to log out of the app, go back in. It's a whole deal. So that helps. Having that second screen helps for that reason alone.
Nice. Nice.
So that's why having
when
the
did you go to 3 TVs? Like, when did you go from 1 to 3? Has it been a while or now?
Yeah, so when I bought a house in St. Pete, I had a nice little patio set up. I've since moved because we flooded in Milton. And by the way, St. Pete, we applied for the permit on December 13th.
It's
and
ridiculous.
it's not due until now. It's not going to be reviewed until the 25th of February. Like, I want to get my house sold. Hey, I tweeted at the mayor
I feel
the other
for you,
day.
man.
It's like, you know
I feel
what? Take
for
a
you,
break
man.
from the race for a moment. Help us out.
Yep.
But anyway, so I made this nice little patio set, man cave. I hang out in the backyard.
Yes.
And I don't know. I got inspired from, we talked about sports books, and I was just like, I want a sports book. I want the place at my house to be where my buddies want to come
That's awesome.
and hang and watch the game. So I was like, I'm going to do one big TV. And I had a 65-inch, and then underneath that, I had 2. I think they were like 29 inches or 32 inches, and it literally fit perfectly where it was the giant TV on top. The 2 ones were below. It was all symmetrical,
Nice.
and it was
Nice.
perfect. It was nice, and I loved it. And I truly enjoyed having that set up. And now I've moved, so I've taken it all down, and I think I'm just going to do 2 big TVs now that YouTube TV's got the 4 square. And I like hosting the guys over for the games. My wife always says, like, come September, you're the hot girl. She's like, everybody hits you up in September. You're like the hot girl in September because that's when everyone's making their plan. Hey, you want to come over for the game?
That's
and
awesome.
I won't hear from friends, all summer long. And then it's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, you know what I'm doing. My friends know what I'm doing.
Joe Show?
I haven't had them over for the games. They've been to my house before, but not really the games.
Gotcha. Do you do a little spread, or you're not going to take care of these guys too much? You just go chips and dip or anything, or what? If it comes over, man, you do it up, or
Yeah,
what?
I do it up, man.
Ooh.
I got to see. My wife is big on that. My wife always, if someone's coming over, like, we have to have food.
Excellent.
And they have to have food. It's like my wife's rule. So, like, I usually make something on the smoker, so I hook up my friends. I do it up for them. And then, I never get the same in return. If any of my friends host, there's never any food. All right. So cheapest ticket in the Super Bowl. You guess 5,000 or something like that. Yeah. It's cheaper. It's actually cheaper.
$4,500?
Cheaper.
$4,000?
They said the tickets plummeted. And it's because this is the Super Bowl matchup nobody wanted.
No, you're exactly. I know that.
I got to be honest.
Yeah,
we're here on the
Yeah.
in the media row, and
Yeah.
this is incredible. I'm going to watch the game. It's the Super Bowl.
Sure.
I'm not like I can't wait for Sunday. I don't have any of that, and I think a lot of people have the same thing. They're feeling the same thing as me. We already saw this matchup. I saw a meme a while ago, and it was like the Super Bowl we want, and it had Detroit and Buffalo on it.
Yes.
And I can't stop thinking of what this town would be like if it was Detroit and Buffalo, two teams that have never won a Super Bowl.
You would be out of your mind.
It'd be insane. Well, not even just that. Take my personal stuff out of it. It's more of just those two franchises that have never, Buffalo winning 4 or losing 4 in a row. The Lions never been. The two fan bases are just incredible.
No doubt.
That would have been cool. So we have a spoiled Chiefs fan base that have now done this, 5 times in the Mahomes era, and going for their 3rd in a row. And the Eagles, their fans are their fans. They are what they are. But nobody really wanted this matchup, and so there's not a lot of excitement for it. And so, the tickets have gone down. So you've guessed now as low as 4,000. It's lower.
37.
Lower.
35.
Lower. There's a 2 in front.
28.
$2,700. $2,748.
It's unbelievable. There's been some NFC, AFC championship games that are more than that. Really? Wow.
This was the last Super Bowl anybody wanted. Here's how much I wanted to see somebody else other than the Chiefs. In the football pool that I do, I picked the Chiefs. I took the Chiefs minus 1.5, and so you pick the money line, you pick the spread,
Yep.
and you pick the over under.
Yep.
I took the Chiefs money line, the Chiefs spread, and I think I took the under, and the game ended up over. No. I took all 3 in that game. Whatever it ended up, I took all 3. But I when the Bills had the ball at the end, I was rooting against the pool, which pays a pretty good lump sum.
I saw your tweet
because I was so pissed off about just the way that the Chiefs got there. I didn't like the calls against Houston. I thought the spot there against Buffalo was a little suspicious. How the one referee had it as a first down, the other referee didn't, and it's like the referee that couldn't see the ball made the ruling. I was rooting against the pool because I'm a long shot to win it at this point. I'm in a position now where it's now every pick is now worth 5 points. So there's 15 points available in the Super Bowl. I got to try to pick against. I got to try to pick what other people aren't going to do. And so here's my strategy for that. So I picked the Chiefs. Well, I picked the Chiefs knowing everybody was going to hate bet against them.
Right.
And I knew the Chiefs could help get me back in the game, but I was still rooting for Buffalo. So my strategy for this game, Rock, because I need to make up some points. I think I'm 8 points back off the lead.
Okay.
And if I take the same team, if I make the same picks as the leader, I'm eliminated. So I think what I'm going to do is the spread is minus 1.5.
Yep.
I think I need to take, how would I make this work? I need to take the Chiefs to win, but I need to take the Eagles to cover. I need a 1 point game. It's a long shot,
I got you.
but I'm a long shot to win.
Got you.
So I think what I do is I take the Chiefs to win, Eagles to cover the 1.5, and then I got to pick the over under, and I got to be the only one in the pool that hits all 3 because nobody's going to do that. Everyone's either going to, because the spread's so close, everyone's going to pick Chiefs to cover and win, or they're going to take the Eagles. They're going to pick both.
Right.
No one's going to split it because it's such a small chance.
Got you.
So I think with my small chance to win it, I'm going to take the Chiefs to win, Eagles in the points, and then I'll be able to try to get those 2 points.
That's a great way to watch the game.
That's the only way I can. That's the only way I'm going to be able to get the points in order to catch up. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do.
That's a good way. I love it, man. I love it. And do you have everything set and you know who your buddies are coming over, or is it just going to be you and your wife? Or you've been so busy with all this.
Yeah, well, I've been busy with this, and we just moved. House isn't completely put together yet. I don't really have a man cave yet.
Right,
so
I got you.
So it's just going to be me and the wife.
Okay.
'Cause I'm going to be here until Saturday, and I just want to see the wife.
There you go.
Spend some time with her. We'll watch the game. Even she's not super. She's been getting really into the playoffs, which I'm proud of her for that. But even this game, she's like, I don't even know if I want to watch. She's like, other than Taylor Swift, she goes, I hate the Chiefs so much. And she's like, so I'm rooting for Philly, which sucks because we all hate the Philly fans. But I think we're going to go all out on the Eagles. And there is a great place. You're familiar with the Countryside area.
Yes.
you ever been? I feel like Pat Donovan here because we're talking food.
Oh yeah,
You ever been to Delco's?
just went. And I got pictures on my phone.
Dude,
Yeah,
we go to
3 days ago.
Delco's. We go to Delco's the day of the
it's
Eagles
original.
Commanders game.
Oh,
It was all Philly jerseys, and I'm like, okay, we're in the right spot. So this guy gets out of his car. He's wearing a an Eagles jersey, and I go, is this place legit? And he goes, I've been going to this guy for 30 years. He's like, I went to him back in Delco, and he was in Delco. And I walked into this place. Rock, it was so busy. They only take cash, so
yes, they do.
I told someone the other day. I said
It's original.
I said, it's good because they only pay cash. He said, no, that just means they don't pay their taxes. And I don't know if they do or not. But Delco's food, the cheesesteak. I've had cheesesteaks in Philly. It was dead on. It was a Philly cheesesteak.
No,
it was perfect.
They got the tasty cake. They got it is Philly. My friend Chris O'Connell, he was at Bay News 9 for 18 years. He's at Fox 29 Philly. He's here. When he comes, when the Phillies or the Eagles are playing, he's the feature reporter. Okay. And he always does a story at Delco's. And he being a Philly guy, and he went to Temple, and he's right. It's the real deal. It's legit. They got a place at the Clearwater Threshers / Philadelphia Phillies spring training in the stadium. Carney loves it. That makes sense. Carney makes sure that he always hits that up for his cheesesteak.
Yeah, it is. Who's that behind you? Who is that? That is the guy in the white T-shirt. Right? Can you see him? Stand up. He's taking pictures with people. Who is that? To the left, Rock. Do you know that? Who was that? Could you tell?
He's got to be a current player because he's young.
I
couldn't tell. He's not wearing any logo, but he is getting a lot of. Sometimes they'll bring. Sometimes you get like somebody that's going to go high in the draft, but normally, and you'd be surprised. Current players, like I said, they like coming here, and it used to be just they were pimping a product, but now it's like to build their brand. Or they got a podcast, or your brand. It's Super Bowl, man.
Yeah, back to everybody can do my job. Now the NFL players want to do my job too.
That's how it goes.
The Micah Parsons podcast has blown up, and it annoys me. I'm like, God, like
a cowboy.
I know you. Well, not just he's a cowboy. It's just I worked so hard, and not that he hasn't, but he worked hard doing something else, and then he just comes into my lane.
No,
and it's like,
you know
bam,
what,
success.
Nick? Just look at what you've got now. Here you are as the program director for WDA, the all sports station, and your Saturday show, and maybe even more. So look at where you are.
You think since I'm the program director, I'd put myself on more, but
well, let's go. No, you're very, very good. You're doing it. You're doing a good job, man. You're doing a good job. So you do the best job. Even Golish, I'll give him credit. And somebody else said, do the best you can where your feet are.
Yeah, where your feet are.
You're always looking for the next gig, then it's not going to work. Just do. I'm serious.
That's been me my whole career.
That's good. It's taken me a long time.
I'm always looking
to figure that out.
for my next gig. Right. I was stuck in small town Arizona. I went from Detroit. I got fired in Detroit and had to go way out west to Arizona. And Arizona was horrible. Arizona as a place is nice, but I was in Tucson.
Okay.
And I was on in Phoenix, but lived in Tucson. And Tucson just wasn't the city for me.
Yep.
Couldn't wait for that next gig, right?
Yep.
I get to Tampa, get to 93.3 FLZ.
Right.
Dream gig.
Right.
FLZ is the station.
Legendary.
I grew up in the pop world. I always had a love for it. So how my career started is I wanted to do sports radio. I wanted to do play-by-play. And then I went to broadcasting school, and I kind of fell in love with the radio side. I was initially going to go the TV route.
Right.
Fell in love with the radio side. I got an internship at a CHR pop station.
Okay.
And we had a limo rides to these club gigs. We're going to clubs, and I'm 18, and it's alcohol and it's girls, and you're taking a limo to. You feel like a superstar. We had a little entourage, right? Like it was. I can't explain it.
I understand.
It was incredible. We were treated so well, and so I get that gig and I'm doing that and I'm living the life of a rock star. And then I get my first gig and I go to Waterloo, Iowa, and it was not like that.
Wow.
But then I worked my way up and I met all the right people and I ended up getting all the way to New York City in that format. And and so then anyways, full circle, I finally get back to Tampa, and I start to get a little bit older, right? I'm now 37.
Yep.
And, the playing Justin Bieber was no longer, there's Mina Kimes behind us. That was Mina. And playing Justin Bieber no longer was like my favorite thing to do. I wanted to talk sports. And so while I have this great gig I've wanted for 20 years at FLZ, I'm like, I want this sports stuff now, right? And so now I got the sports stuff, and I don't want to be like, oh, well, I want that next sports thing.
Gotcha.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I always want to get bigger. Like, now that I'm the program director of DAE, my next goal is I want to run every damn sports station in iHeart and be the guy, right?
Awesome.
Or be the biggest talent. So I always got goals, but I'm now in a place where it doesn't have to happen tomorrow. I'm on the path that I want to be on. And you're right. My wife always says the same thing. Be where your feet are, because so often I'm not, whether we're on our phones.
Right.
It's easy to be somewhere else. But yeah, you work so hard to, like, if I told 18-year-old Nick Wise that I was going to be the afternoon guy at WFLZ in Tampa, I would have been like, no way, because that was a station on my bucket list.
Gotcha.
And then I achieved it.
Gotcha.
And there were times during that, and I'm still there. I still do the afternoon show there. And I still am programming the station along with doing DAE. But at some point, I lost the appreciation. And you can't do that. You got to make sure you always appreciate where you are. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, you're doing a great job. I do not take it for granted, even to this day, when I go into an NFL facility or batting practice for MLB, I do not take it for granted. I never have, man. There are some reporters that think, hey, I should be here. No, it's a privilege.
Yeah.
And it's the highest level. And it's an honor. And to get back on WDAE, the all sports station in town, man, it has just been.
Rock, after today, we're going to be doing middays, bro.
I am ready, man. This is to see if we have chemistry, man. And it's going pretty damn good.
Would you want to do middays, me and you?
Oh my God! Don't twist my arm.
All right.
Don't. Come on, man.
All right, so Rock's agreed to it, but now here's the bad part, Rock. I ain't got no budget. We're doing it for free.
I understand that. We'll get a sponsor too. Get a sponsor too. There you go. It can be done. That's how it's done. That's just 2025.
I will
it's
work
great.
on it.
It is great to be on WDAE. And you see, I was telling this to T-Kraz. I'll get some guys that are a little older, my age. Who's on the station anymore? Oh, I just listened to a podcast. And I told this to T-Kraz, and I've told this to Joe Bucks fan, and I've told other people.
Joe Bucks fan is, I haven't announced that on the air, but they're going to start this weekend.
I understand. So I said, if I come on Pat and Aaron, or God, that day I filled in, or even on Saturdays, I get a text. Hey, some guys haven't heard from. I heard you on DAE. Oh,
yeah.
It's great to hear you back. Oh, great to hear you back. I'm like, this stuff about, I only listen to podcasts. I get so much response when I go on DAE.
Yeah, people are definitely listening to the radio. But yes, there are more media outlets. There is more competition. If you want Tampa Bay sports, back in the day, it was just DAE, right? And, there are more outlets to listen to for sure. And that just makes us have to be better at all times and make sure we're on our A game.
There you go.
There's no bullshit shows. You have to be your best every single time you turn the mics on.
No, it's been great. And obviously with what the Buccaneers are going to be doing, the Rays are always in it. You know that. And then the Lightning as well. It's been great with the Lightning. So there you go, man. It's been an honor, and a pleasure.
Are you here tomorrow, Rock?
I am here tomorrow.
All right, let's do you want to do the same thing tomorrow?
Let's do it. And we'll tell everybody what time so that they
we'll actually promote it. This was just kind of a live gimmick. So tomorrow we'll do the same thing. We'll do a show. I'll try to book us some guests too.
Okay.
And we'll get some people on.
Let's do
and
this.
And I gotta go to the bathroom so bad. I gotta pee so bad.
We'll promote it.
And then I want to go try to find some guests for T-Kraz.
There you go.
So T-Kraz, he'll be on today at 3:00 Eastern. What do we got? 1 hour to go. So it's 2:00 on the East Coast.
Yep.
So I'm going to do some laps around here, try to get some people on the afternoon show. And Rock and I will do this again tomorrow.
It was a pleasure. Way to go, man.
All right. Let's see if I can figure out how to end the stream. There we go. End stream.
Boom.